They couldn't play a lick of basketball, but they could open your car door in 3 seconds. They knew that was the technology they knew. I'll take care of it. And then when he died, it just tore me up. But I was still reffing, and Paul saw that, and I never reffed again. You made me understand that if your heart's not in it, you don't do it. Real star is that person you see in the mirror. That's the star. That's the person you want to be. And that's it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Interesting People with Interesting Stories. And we have a lot of interesting guests. I hope you've enjoyed all of our podcasts with a lot of different stories. Everybody has a story. Well, Wayne Thornton joins us this day, and we're going to hear a lot of the projects that he is doing, and we'll also take a look back at what he's done throughout his career, all these years in our community. Wayne, thank you for coming in.
That was my pleasure.
So tell me, what are you up to now?
Oh, nothing.
No, he's very busy.
No, nothing. No, the reason I retired was because at that time my mother and father-in-law were very ill. My father-in-law has since passed. But I was going to doctor's appointments all the time and taking them here and there. And I told myself, you know what? I've been here 43 years. And I need to just let it go. Because, you hold on to things. Sometimes you hold on too long. So I felt I needed to go and take care of them, be there for them every day as opposed to when I could get off. And when I go to a doctor's appointment, I'm saying to myself, oh, I got to go back to work, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I need to go. And so I did. And I was lucky because I retired 2 weeks before the pandemic started. February 28th, 2020, and the pandemic starts 2 weeks later. But again, it's a blessing. I worked so much, so long. They took care of my children when they were growing up, and I owed it to them to take care of them and their needs and their days. My mother-in-law is now 86. It's a blessing every day to be around her, see her, and experience her life. So I'm lucky, I'm blessed. And El Paso is a great place, of course. We all know that. And to be here with the Queen of Broadcasting is even better. So thank you for the opportunity. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah.
So I think, I hear that story a lot. And El Paso is very, El Pasoans, not El Paso. El Pasoans we're just like that. We take care of our own. You don't hear that in a lot of communities.
No, you don't. And, when you talk about El Paso, I was sort of raised on Fort Bliss because my father was in the Army. So Fort Bliss to me is just a merge of El Paso as well. And Fort Bliss will always be near and dear to my heart. Everybody thinks, oh, Wayne, you grew up in El Paso, blah, blah, blah. I was born in New Orleans. I moved here when I was 3. My father was in the Army. I graduated in Japan because my father was in the Army, so I was in Okinawa. I graduated there, came back to UTEP. And I always wanted to go to college, but I always wanted to go to UTEP. I don't know why. But there was something about UTEP when I was little and growing up and hearing the stories, blah, 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 and the 66 team. And then friends of mine that had gone with their older brothers, they went to UTEP, and then Texas Western, of course, for many. And it was special. I'll never forget, Estella, because I came back on the plane 1972, just graduated from high school, and the first 2 human beings I saw getting off that plane was Don Haskins and James Forbes. And they were both getting on the plane I was getting off because they were going to the 1972 Olympics. Haskins was the assistant coach. Forbes was on that team. And, of course, the tragedy that happened in that particular Olympics. But, man, to imagine that I would see those 2 people when I got off that plane. And then later on, I got to know Coach Haskins, and of course, I knew Mr. Forbes. It's kind of cool, and both of them have, of course, passed on. But the memories, and you talk about El Paso, there's so much history here. Just driving over here today and seeing all the different areas of where you grew up or where you have memories, it's a special place, and it's nowhere a place to live in El Paso, Texas.
Let's go back a little bit. Refresh my memory of the 72 tragedy.
That was when, in the Olympics, there were some terrorists that took over.
Oh, I'm seeing that picture right now.
Yes. They took over and killed all the hostages. And of course, 1972, the U.S. Olympic team for basketball had never lost an Olympic game. Never. And they lost the gold medal game to Russia. It was very controversial because they replayed the ending 3 different times, and finally the Russians won. And Jim Forbes was on the court at the time that they lost that game. And that team has never, ever wanted those silver medals. They're still in the vault in Switzerland. Forbes never got his medal. He said, I don't want it because we didn't win the silver. We won the gold. And they're right. So anyhow, it was my older brother really was a catalyst to get me into UTEP. That was in 1972. Then a year later, in 1973, I met a friend named Don Lewis, and we were coaching the dorm football team at UTEP. And it was, intramurals, girls flag football. And the name of the team, I'm sorry about this, but the name of the team is the Happy Hookers. They named them. I didn't name them. They named themselves. But we playing football, right? And then we said to ourselves, you know what? There's no basketball here at UTEP. There was no basketball. So Don Lewis and myself started the UTEP women's basketball program. We went to Dr. Arlie B. Templeton, who was then the president. I walked in his office, had no appointment, and the lady told me, yes, Mr. Thornton, you can go see. I said to myself, man, this is so cool. I can go see the president just like that. And I asked him for help, and he says, I'll give you $1,000. He gave us
Well, that's a lot of $1,000 bucks is a lot of money back then.
And that, shoot, yeah. Man, we bought the best T-shirts you could
For the team, of course.
Yeah, but the team was awesome. The girls were great. It was 1973. The next year was 1974, and they brought a young lady in to be the actual head coach and be recognized by the university by athletics. Her name was Carol Ammerman, and she asked me, Wayne, you've been here, would you like to stay on as the assistant? And I said, without a doubt, I said, yes, ma'am. I was there 4 years as assistant coach. And then she left. She said she was going to get married. And I said, and I told, and that was what you would think, right? You were assistant coach 4 years, and I told myself, you know what? I'm done, I'm done. And then all of a sudden, Jim Bowden, I don't know if you know Dr. Jim Bowden, his dad was the athletic director. So he calls me and he goes, Wayne, I've got 23 applications in my office for this job. But I want you to be the head coach because you've been here, you know the girls, and I don't want any drama. And you know how to handle it.
Drama and girls?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was so cool because of the fact he gave me the window to do exactly what we were doing and to expand on that for the girls' sports. And at the same time, they had just started the women's volleyball team. So I was there as the head coach, and I tell you what, man, that was an unbelievable experience to be the head coach of the UTEP women's basketball team. We would fly to our games. I would get off the plane, have I didn't cut anybody. So I had 16 girls in the team. So we flew, and we played University of Texas, at Texas. We played UNLV in Las Vegas. We played UCLA in California. I mean, we had a great schedule, and we were getting slaughtered. I was not a very good coach.
No.
And I opened my eyes and told myself.
Maybe it was a talent.
No. With the history of UTEP sports and all the sports, I mean, men's, women's, whatever, the worst coach in the history of UTEP, you're looking at him right here. Because I was not a very good coach. And I told myself, I said, you know what, this is not for me. I can't do this. It's not fair to the girls. And so Mr. Bowden, then when the season was over, he called me in. He says, Wayne, you ready for next year? And I said, Mr. Bowden, look, I'm not a very good coach. You deserve better. This university deserves better. The city deserves better. And he tried to talk me into staying. And I told him, no, I can't do it, sir. And I went and applied for Parks and Recreation.
And how long were you there?
Where UTEP?
No, at Parks and Rec.
43 years.
43 years. So
43 years. I was there. I started in 1978, and I retired in 2020. And what was cool about that job was the fact every summer leading up to that in 76, 77, I would work in the summer. Summer job was working with Parks and Rec. So you got an idea of what was going on. And every year I worked at Lincoln Center, right off the Spaghetti Bowl. The most historic to me building in the city is Lincoln Center. And I was there, and they let me be in charge of the summer program, hiring all the people, and it was so cool. I mean, there was so much money because the government at that time was giving so much money to cities for summer programs to keep children off the streets. So the opportunities were amazing. I mean, the field trips and the opportunities of the kids, I mean, it was so great. But it sort of opened my eyes that, hey, this is pretty cool to have as a full-time job. So when I got the job officially, they sent me to Lincoln Center. And I was like, oh, this is heaven, man.
Magic. This is magic.
And I was there for 28 years. I left in 2006, and the only reason I left was because the building got mold with all the rains that happened in 2006.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember those rains.
Serious mold. And so they had to close the building. And when they closed it, they told me, Wayne, we'd like you to go to the main office at City Hall to handle public relations and all that jive. And anyhow, I went there for the last years of my career. Mm-hmm. But in between that, in 1993, it was an epiphany, I guess you could say. I met the women of the Junior League of El Paso, Ginger Francis and Julie Coleman. Ginger Francis was then the president. Julie Coleman had brought a program to El Paso called Midnight Basketball.
Oh, I remember that.
The director, he called me up and says, Wayne, I want you to, help the ladies out. And I tell you what, it was so cool because, I'll be honest, those women knew very little about basketball, but they knew a whole lot about organization, efficiency, and what needs to be done. So we got a program that was dealing with children, not children really, not even kids. They were young adults. They were 17 to 25. And they couldn't play a lick of basketball, but they could open your car door in 3 seconds. They knew that was the technology they knew, was that because they lived on the streets. Mm-hmm. And people were all upset because of the fact they were saying, we were taking heads out of beds at nights because we played from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when we played the games. So the last game is at 1 o'clock in the morning, a game an hour. And people were saying, you're taking heads out of beds. You're taking those kids out of beds. You're taking those adults out.
Well, but you're keeping them out of the bars.
Right. But the other thing was they were already on the street. They were already out there. We weren't taking them anywhere. But it was so neat because we had the championships for the whole league at Memorial Gym. Mm-hmm. And then we had them at the Don Haskins Center. Man, can you imagine? At the Don Haskins Center, midnight basketball, championships playing right there. It was
a great community effort.
It was.
I remember, so I've known Wayne for a long, long time, but I have a very poor memory. But I do remember every year that I would do the flip the switch for the Christmas tree lighting. Oh. And he was out there, very official. He wouldn't, he was just keeping everybody on task and just very quiet and just getting things done. Getting things done. What motivates you? What keeps Wayne on task? Sometimes it's kind of hard for us with ADHD. What keeps you on task?
Well,
what kept you on task?
I guess what it is, a lot of it is because when you have a handshake and you shake somebody's hand, or you get a hug or a smile, the vampire loves blood. But a human being like Wayne Thornton loves to feel the connection that you can have with an individual, with a family, or a community. And for 43 years, you can imagine how many hugs, how many handshakes, whatever.
I got a lot of those.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's not just to do it. It's to do it to be able to really be a part of people's lives. I think too many times in life we get to know our family, which is great. But that's it. That's our circle. That's it.
Our circle is very small.
It's very small. And I was very lucky with Parks and Recreation. If nothing else, I tried to expand that circle to make it where Lincoln Center was not just right there in the Spaghetti Bowl, Lincoln Center was the entire city. You could go to Northeast El Paso, you go to the west side, you go to the east side, and people would know where Lincoln Center is. Or they would know who the people are, what programs we had. It was so neat. And that's what I love about what I did at that time, was being able to do all types of programs all over.
We're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about that whistle on your collar. Stay with us.
At Viva Chevrolet, we don't just sell vehicles.
We sell experiences. A lot happens when you get behind the wheel. It's where we have the tough conversations and make the tough decisions, because on the road we find the time and place to think. It's where we make happy announcements or just have fun. Live your best life with Viva.
Sponsored by Viva Chevrolet.
And welcome back, interesting people with interesting stories. We have Wayne Thornton here, and we've talked about a lot of things, and something very close to his heart. Everything seems to be close to Wayne Thornton's heart. He likes people. He likes our community. Not just likes people and likes our community. He is very much invested in this community and has worked for many, many decades to make El Paso a better place to live. I don't know if you know, Wayne, that she saved my life. Sandra Terraza saved my life.
She what?
She saved my life. So I've known Sandra maybe 10, 12 years. And I met her through a friend because she has always been a mentor to my children, to my 3 children. And a group of us went to New York, and she was part of this group. There was eight of us. Sandra left a day early, but then it was 3 women and my kids and my friends' kids, and we all went to New York. And she was supposed to come back to El Paso, but chose to go with us to Washington, D.C. And I had had a tetanus shot, and I was still hurting. I said, Sandra, my arm still hurts. Well, she goes to us to Washington, D.C. She changes her plane ticket. She buys a train ticket. We'd go to Washington, D.C. and because we're going to go to see Beto O'Rourke back then in 2017. And so we're all getting ready. We're all excited because we're going to go to Capitol Hill and see all this stuff and get a tour of not the White House. The White House was canceled. Get a tour of all the beautiful buildings and blah, blah, blah. And, everybody, goes in one at a time to shower. And I come out and I said, Sandra, my arm hurts. I just, I don't know why I've had this for a week or 2 and it still hurts. And she sits me down and turns my arm over and sees my swollen lymph nodes. And you know that she is a physical therapist. She owns Spectrum Therapy Consultants, and opening clinics one after another. Just opened one up on the east side. And she said, Estela, you need to see your oncologist, because I suffered from thyroid cancer in 2010. You need to see your oncologist because I see that in women with breast cancer. So when we all came back together, and we went about our lives, and she went with me to see my oncologist, and sure enough, stage 1, stage 2 breast cancer. So she saved my life. So she is a force to contend with, and she's the one who inspired you to open up a scholarship. Why is that important to you?
Well, to be honest, she's the one that came to me. And she was the one that actually set the program in motion to get the donations to have the scholarship through the El Paso Coaches Association with the El Paso Independent School District. And we just gave out the 2 scholarships back in May to 2 young ladies that went to Jefferson High School. One was a great swimmer, one was a great soccer player, and they're both going to college as we speak, one in Massachusetts, and the other is going in Odessa. And to meet them, and you just don't equate the fact when people look at you and go, thank you for your scholarship, and I'm sitting here trying to not cry, and I'm saying to myself, everything's going through my head, and I'm saying to myself, think this. I can't thank Sandra enough for doing that. She wasn't able to be there at the event when we gave out the scholarships, but she was there with me. And
Absolutely.
she always will be there with me because she's just a dynamo. And I can think back on when she was playing and all the many times we would talk after her games, and it was just so cool.
So you were at El Paso High when she was playing there?
No, what was we had that summer basketball league,
Okay.
and she played in the league in the summers. But that league gave her an opportunity to be able to play against the best players in the nation because we would take the better girls in that league and go to Phoenix to play against, and at that time, Phoenix was a hub of girls basketball and boys basketball because all the better players went there every summer and they played against each other in a huge tournament. And Sandra was representing El Paso like the other girls.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to talk to her about that.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. And people would look at her and go, "Oh, look at these people from El Paso. Look at that little girl."
at that little short
But hey,
Mexican
man,
girl.
they get on the floor. Hey, it's showtime. Sandra's rocking. Yeah, it was great, and she was and still is a dynamo.
Yeah, she is. She
and
is.
I think I guess that's why I really gravitated to girls' sports, is because when I was in high school going to Japan, my sister, she was not a very good athlete, but she just liked to watch girls' sports. And then I would sit there and watch it with her, just so she had some company or somebody to watch it with her. And it was so cool because of the fact that I could see the thrill and the excitement in her eyes when she watched those other girls play. Even though she couldn't play at that level, she still enjoyed it. And I told myself, when I get back to El Paso, when I graduate, I'm trying to do something with girls' sports. And I was lucky because I got to be involved with doing that as far as coaching the girls. And I got to be, too, the guy, Don Lewis, who started with me, he was sort of like a mentor in many ways because he introduced me to radio and TV. So at that time, KVOF, which is the campus radio station at UTEP, was like the
No, it's
sisters.
KTEP.
I'm sorry.
KTEP.
No, you're right. It was KTEP, but KVOF was like the radio station that only you could hear if you're in the dorms.
Oh, okay.
KVOF.
Okay.
And he sort of got me in there to talk and try to, learn how
That's
to
why
talk.
he's such a good talker.
No.
Speaker.
And so I did that. And then I got to go to KTEP. And what was so cool is I had my own radio show. It was called the Tootsie Roll Soul Show.
Tootsie Roll
Soul
Show.
And
Say
it
that
was
3
dealing
times.
it was so cool because it was rhythm and blues, but I would take dedications like Steve Crosno did back in the day. And I would take in dedications and I'd be walking on campus, going to class, and people would say, "Hey, Wayne, I got a dedication for you. Here, do this tonight when you go on the radio." And I was like, this is so cool. This is heaven in college, man. And coaching the girls' basketball team, too.
Can't get any better than that, right?
It was just the best. And then, but yeah, it was neat. So by doing that, it opened my doors, and then I became a disc jockey and got to play at dances and parties and stuff. So it really changed me in terms of understanding about being more outgoing and that type of thing.
Being able to speak.
And yeah, and it was cool. So it was so neat when they called me about being the Gold Nugget honoree.
Yes, at UTEP.
And I went to go there to liberal arts, to the hall. I hadn't been there since I left UTEP. Oh my God, the memories just walking in the door, just the memories of walking up and down those classes. And at that time, back in the 70s, they had streakers. People would run down.
Streakers, naked people running down the street.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, or
This
you
was
one of them?
No, ma'am. But this was like 1973, 74, and people would stand outside of the liberal arts hall and because people would say, "I'm gonna do it at 3 o'clock," or not at 3 o'clock, at 10 a.m. I'm gonna do it at 11 a.m. And you would be waiting there. People, you
got
gotta
a
be
free
in class.
show.
You gotta be in class. No. We gotta see this. And there was no phones or no way to videotape
Just
it or
word of
something.
mouth.
It was just like, and man, and people were just hanging out at the
It's like, put some clothes on.
Yeah, but it was, but yeah, that's why UTEP is so special. There's 2 places I get goosebumps going to. I go to Lincoln Center, 3, Lincoln Center, Fort Bliss, and to UTEP. It gives me goosebumps.
Okay, Wayne, toss us to break, Mr. DJ.
Thank you very much for joining us, Estella Casas, along with Wayne Thornton. And make sure that you do three things in life. Stay nice as rice, mellow as jello, and make sure that always that you take care of each other, take care of yourselves. And by the way, what should I say? Should I say something hip and trippy, you know, like rhyming and jiving and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Let's see. This is Wayne Thornton, your neighborhood DJ, Dr. K, right here at KTEP, the station of kindness, togetherness, equality, and peace, the station where the music will never, ever cease.
We'll be right back.
Whether you live east or west, Viva Chevrolet is centrally located, ready to save you money on the car or truck that fits your life. From tough work trucks to weekend cruisers, Viva has the selection and the deals to match every lifestyle.
I'm El Güero, today El Güero Ahorrador, the money saver, and I'll play any role to earn your business.
Great prices, convenient location, and a GM who will go the extra mile. Only at Viva Chevrolet, where Viva makes it happen.
Sponsored by Viva Chevrolet.
And welcome back, interesting people with interesting stories. So a little birdie told me that somebody used to call you Wayne Thunder Thornton.
There's only, you talking about Paul Strausen?
I am talking about Paul Strausen. We had his daughter on the show.
Paul Strausen, I'll never forget. I didn't meet him. I was in 1972. I was a freshman at UTEP, and there was a gentleman that came in the gym at Memorial Gym one day with this boisterous voice.
Big
man. I was
personality.
and at that time, he was working at the university, and he was working there in the gym. And I said, "Who is this guy?" And so in 1972, I also went out for the UTEP basketball team, the freshman team, and I made the team. And Paul Strausen was like the guy that they would have talk to the players to sort of understand, because he's from New York and he understands about
that
being
accent.
in a different. It was so cool when he spoke to us. But then over the years, I got to know him and whatever. But I'll never forget this because it was, he was a principal at Terrace Hills Elementary or middle school. I was reffing the game. At that time, I was reffing sometimes. I was reffing the game, and Paul was sitting there, and, you know, when he sees a bad call, he'll let you know. The whole crowd will erupt. It's at his place. It's his domain. He's the king, and Paul talks. Everybody listens. So anyhow, I'm running up and down the floor calling the game, and to be honest with you, I wasn't really into the game. For whatever reason, I didn't have a good game. Sometimes that happens. And I'll never forget, after the game, he called me in his office, and he sat me down like this and goes, "Wayne, is there something wrong? Because you're not the same person out there on the court. I didn't see the same person."
He could read you.
He read me. And what he read was a week before that, my brother had died. And my brother was the one that got me involved and took care of me, because when I was at UTEP, I didn't have a scholarship. I didn't, you know, I had to make ends meet. And my brother said, "Don't you worry. I'll be your scholarship. You just go to school. If you want to coach the women's team, you coach it." Because I wasn't getting paid. It was a volunteer position. "I'll take care of it." And then when he died, it just tore me up. But I was still reffing, and Paul saw that, called me in his office, and we talked about what I'd gone through, and he talked to me, and I never reffed again.
Really?
I never reffed again. Because after
Why?
that talk with Paul, it wasn't in my heart anymore. Because when I was reffing the game, I would be thinking about my brother all the time, and I'd be thinking about the memories, and something would happen right in front of me, and I'd be 2 or 3 seconds late. And I just wasn't in it. And I told myself I need to walk away. And I did. And I never reffed again after that conversation I had with Paul Strausen. And I'll never forget that, because of the fact that he taught me that if you see something, talk to that person, because you never know what they're going through. And it really helped me. It really did. And I'll see him over the years, and I would tell him, "Thank you for what you did." And he was in shock when I told him I never reffed again. I gave it up. He was in shock. And I said, "No, sir, you changed me. I mean, you made me understand that if your heart's not in it, you don't do it." And I stopped. And it was so sad, of course, with his loss, but to be able to know his 3 beautiful daughters, his wife, his family, it was so cool because of the fact that you know Paul Strelzin and you see Paul Strelzin, you know Don Haskins, you see Don Haskins, but you don't know who they really are until you get to see
Well, the
them,
human.
meet them, talk
Yeah,
to them,
yeah.
that they're just like us. They really are. And I was lucky to get to know both of them.
I think that the beauty of recognizing and honoring and remembering all the people in our lives, because we don't get to where we are on our own. We are always mentored by somebody, and they may not even know it, but somebody is always watching what you do. And if they're not, shame on them, because we all have something important to give to somebody else. You just have to have an open heart and an open mind. When we come back, we are going to wrap up this last segment with Wayne Thornton, talk a little bit more about the scholarship and what's next. Stay with us.
New year, new opportunities to focus on the future, grow personally and professionally. Viva Auto Group with 10 dealerships in El Paso and Las Cruces is here to help you get on the road and stay on the road to a better tomorrow. Viva has been helping families grow for almost 40 years. We're involved in the community, helping raise money to donate hundreds of free mammograms. We teamed up with the return of the Amigo Air Show to make our community, El Paso, strong. Together, we make a difference because Viva makes it happen.
Sponsored by Viva Chevrolet.
And welcome back. Tell me a little bit more about the scholarship. Can anybody apply? You know, how much is it? How can people donate? Tell me a little bit more.
Well, you know, Sandra, along with Lena Jimenez and others that have been sort of the backbone of the scholarship, along with my daughter, they have like put the word out, and people, they donate $25, they can donate $5. It doesn't matter what the amount is. We were very lucky in this very first year that we did it. We were able to give two $2,000 scholarships.
Fantastic.
And that's amazing to be
And
able
it's
to
just
do
for
that in
girls'
such a short
sports?
period. No, it can be a male or a female.
Okay, but it
And
has to be sports.
It's a student athlete.
Student athlete, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Because we always stress the student part because we think that's important as well. And so to give you an idea, when the ones that they had to judge this year, it was all based on, first of all, student, the athlete, and of course what they do in the community.
Okay.
Because you got to give back. Because we all can do whatever we do, but you got to understand how to give back. And that's important. I think volunteerism is so important in life.
It builds
because
character.
It does, and it feeds your heart. Because a lot of times we just do things and we don't understand what we're doing because we just do it. And don't treat a volunteer opportunity like okay, it's a job. Because you're not getting paid for it. But you got to put your heart into it. And if you put your heart into it, you're getting paid. So, yeah, that scholarship that Sandra has set up, it's done every May when they have the annual coaches. They honor every athlete that made all district in the city of El Paso from the El Paso School District. They have a big banquet for them. And at that banquet, they give out the scholarship.
And it's a Wayne Thornton
Yes, ma'am. It's a
Scholarship.
Wayne Thornton Scholarship. It's hard for me to say that, but yeah, it's a Wayne Thornton Scholarship. And I can't thank Sandra enough for that.
So you mentioned, so Thornton, there's a young lady from El Paso, Thornton, no relation.
No relation at all, but I've been asked so many times, and she has too, is that your dad, or is that your daughter? And I'll say no, and then every once in a while she'll say, yeah, he is. And then they go, oh, really, really?
No.
But no, we just do
Now,
that.
what is her name?
Her name is Kayla Thornton.
Kayla Thornton,
And
yes.
in fact, she plays for the Golden State Valkyries
Yes.
for the WNBA. I went up to Phoenix last week to see her team play because she got hurt earlier this year.
Right.
She's out for the year.
Yes.
But she made the All-Star team for the WNBA, which is very, very
That's
difficult
prestigious,
to do.
of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. But no, it's kind of cool. But you know, there's nobody on earth, in my opinion, that has had the last 3 years of their life as special as I have. Nobody. You know, to have a recreation center named after you,
Yes,
to be able to to be the Grand Marshal of the Northeaster Parade.
How was that?
I have no idea. Don't ask me because I have no idea. And then to be the Grand Marshal of the
The Thanksgiving Day
Glacier.
Parade
Sun Bowl
last year.
Parade.
Sun Bowl Parade, yes.
yes.
And then
with
also the
Sheen
Gold
Bias
Nugget.
Ninderman as a sponsor to be the Gold Nugget. And then this past May, I was honored with the Lucy G.
Acosta.
Acosta Award. And Lucy Acosta worked with me at Lincoln Center. She was on the bottom floor with Lulac Amistad, and I was on the top floor. And every time there was something to go wrong in the building, she would call up and they would say, Wayne, you go handle her. Because Lucy was
She is a tough cookie.
She's a tough
She was
cookie.
a
And
tough
people
cookie.
wouldn't want, and I'd say, oh yeah, I'll go down there. And I'd sit there, we'd be after 5 o'clock and we'd be sitting chatting, waiting for her husband to come pick her up. And we'd be talking about her kids or we'd be talking about life. And it was so cool with Mrs. Acosta because she was just an inspiration to anybody that was in her footsteps. Because she was a great lady. And to be honored with her award and to have her grandson there as well, it was so cool. And her son was a former Sun Bowl president. So yeah, Lucy Acosta Award, that was so cool. And then to get the call about the Gold Nugget Award, I was like,
From UTEP,
oh,
that's fantastic.
Man, from UTEP.
I have a Gold
and-
Nugget too in 2017.
Oh, well, you're a superstar. And I can't thank you enough
Oh,
for all the many years that you did. You were MC for the Christmas tree lighting downtown. And every year you gave it prestige, you gave it elegance, you raised the bar. And when you came in, I'd be sitting there waiting for Stella to come to the stage, and everybody's grabbing her saying, Stella, how you doing? Everybody's your best friend, right? And it was so cool to just sit there and go, man, this is heaven to watch her, man. She knows how to work the room. And then she gets there, and then very professional, she gets up there, does her thing. A couple of times she sang. She won't mention that, will she? You remember that? Yeah. And yes, you and Denise Baisley. Oh my gosh, those were such special times. And then we flipped the switch with the Child from Candlelighters. It was remarkable. And people may not know this, but we did that for 20 years with KVIA TV.
Absolutely.
Being the sponsor, taking care of being, a lot of times when you do something, you send us, when we get to our plays here in El Paso from New York and whatever, they bring the second string, third string maybe. We don't get the first string. But the KVIA, every year, they gave us the first string of technicians, engineers. Estella Casas, first string, baby. It was rocking. And I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Because
You're
it
welcome.
was, man, it was a neat time.
What's next for you, Wayne?
I tell you, whenever somebody asks me to speak at an event, I see a lot of people when they speak, they come out and they pull out here's my speech, blah, blah, blah. I never have a script because life has no script.
Right.
There's no script. So I have no script of what I want to do. I mean, to be able to have a scholarship, to be able to, like I told you, to have all these things happen to me, that's special. And to be there with my mother-in-law, to be there with my children, I've apologized to them 10 times because I wasn't there for them when they were younger. And to be able now to experience their life with their children, with my 4 grandchildren, I'm lucky. And that's why I say that I don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes I wake up and I go, what day is this? Tuesday? Oh, this is Thursday. Oh, okay. Because sometimes that happens when you're retired, you know what I'm saying? But not to me. My mother-in-law, the family, and to be able to volunteer and give back still. I still do it with the Sun Bowl. I still do it with the drowning prevention. I still do it with whatever I can. Somebody calls me, can you help out with this? I'm there. Because you never know. And tomorrow you may not be here. So I'm going to give everything I've got every single day to help others because they've helped me somewhere along the way. They've helped me. So I don't know, Stella. I even driving over here, I was thinking about what you had mentioned before about listening to others and understanding who we want to be in life. And any chance I get to talk to children or kids, I just say 3 things. I say, be grateful for the opportunity to be here today, to have a stage, to stand here and talk to others, to have an audience such as you, and to have a spotlight. We all want a spotlight. We may not say that, but we all want that spotlight.
We all want to be seen.
We all want to be seen. For some reason, we all want to be seen. Too many people want to be like Taylor Swift, or want to be like Michael Jordan.
Influencers now.
Exactly. The real star is that person you see in the mirror. That's the star. That's the person you want to be. And that's it. That's all you got to be, you know? So my mom and dad raised me great.
They sure did. And you make a difference in our community. Thank you for all you've done throughout the years.
I haven't done nothing.
And that continue to do. And El Paso's lucky to have you.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you all enjoyed our conversation. Please like and share and let us know what you think. Have a great day. Until next time, have a great day. And thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you.